Hi everyone, Michelle here, and I'm so excited that I've got Medina joining me for a conversation today. Good morning, Medina.
Hi, Michelle. So wonderful to be with you. I'm really honored to share this space with you and to have this. I think it's an important chat that we're going to have today about
Yeah.
what's happening in the world.
So if you're listening to this recording, Medina and I had a conversation 2 days ago, which was just connecting about what we saw happening in the world and how we saw some of our friends and our family and colleagues really struggling with how much energy is kind of present and the forces that are really challenging us. So that's part of what we want to talk about today. Medina, what's your take on our conversation?
Well, it's really palpable, this energy that's out in the world at the minute in terms of, the politics, Donald Trump, and all the destabilization that's happening that has been foretold, that people are picking up on this collective consciousness level, and it's really impacting their psyches and how they're feeling, and they're allowing themselves to be deeply affected by all this energy. So what I'm saying with you today, Michelle, is different ways that we can address this, and different ways that we can stay focused on what's really important, because really all this external stuff is a distraction, and it's distracting you from what you should be doing and what's really, really important at the moment, because we're all here to raise the vibration and consciousness of the planet and to make a difference. And we all want, in our hearts, most of us all want to make this profound difference. But if we get caught up in those energies, we're going to lose that ability to make the difference that we all want to make.
Yeah, I so agree. And I think what I'm seeing, and it's interesting where I'm having conversations with friends, and a lot of this distress is coming up and feeling of powerlessness slash wanting to do something. And I think that this is a really exciting and challenging time that we're in. What can we do to help ourselves stay grounded, stay centered, and keep doing the work that's so important, keep doing the things in this world that are so important? So that's what I'm excited to chat to you about. So I,
Absolutely. Me too.
after we spurred this idea of this conversation, a few things kind of has popped up for me. And one is a really foundational learning that came out of some personal development management type work. I don't know if anyone remembers the Stephen Covey special, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the principles in that, which I use all the time and I also, kind of use with my coaching clients, is this idea of the circle of influence and the circle of concern. And I think this comes up because what I know in myself is that if I know I've got a circle of influence. So have you. So is everyone that's listening. There are things that we can do and that are within our power and within our capacity to be able to change. Sometimes where we leak our energies, and this is very true for me, and I've certainly witnessed it in some of my coaching clients, where there's something in the circle of concern that they haven't actually taken action on. And one of the great things about that concept of the two circles is if it's in your circle of concern, you can grab it, take action, and then that by its very nature pulls it into your circle of influence because you're doing something about it. Sometimes the challenge is finding what is the thing to do? What is the thing that feels right to be doing on that particular issue of concern? So I
Okay.
just thought I'd open with that idea of the circles, because that is, if people have that in their minds, they can see that they can leak a lot of energy over stuff that's in their circle of concern, but they're not doing anything about it, so it remains an energy drain.
It's a great point that we each have such a profound impact on the world around us. We think, oh, it's just us, nobody really knows how we're feeling. We're not really, making much of a difference by just existing. But your pure energy in itself is having an impact on the planet. Just the energy that you're holding, let alone when you start interacting with people. And when you think about the ripple effect of when you just speak to one person, that has an impact. So that's even discounting all your friends and family and all the people that you have closer relationships with. So that ripple effect that you have is incredibly significant in the world. So don't underestimate your importance at this time, and that's for every single person on the planet. Even a hermit who lives in a cave, for example, is going to be putting out a level of energy into the world that everyone's picking up on. So this is really important to remember at these sorts of times when there's so much happening in the world that's rocking people's foundation and destabilizing them. And so if they really align with that energy, and their energy's all scattered and you know, upset and traumatized or whatever, that's going out to everyone else too. And we really don't want that.
And that's something we can absolutely do something about. That's entirely within our circle of influence, isn't it? How we are, the energy we hold, what we say, our feelings, what we allow to persist, what we radiate out, that is sitting right in the middle of our circle of influence. And that's such a powerful starting point for each of us, isn't it?
Oh, so important, so important. And I think to just recognize our own unlimited divine power in that respect is crucial, you know.
Yeah.
And once we realize that, we take responsibility for the fact that we are here for a reason, and that we're here to improve the way the world is.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the things that we have as part of our practice that others might want to either remember to do or start doing, because there is so many things that we can be doing for ourselves to keep our energy centered and aligned and open. So let's go through some of those possible techniques.
I am ramping at the bit. I'm so excited to talk about this.
Go, Medina. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, lovely Michelle. Well, the thing is, I think the greatest thing at the moment to remember is that the greatest single thing that we can do is to hold a higher resonance, a higher vibration, to be in a vibration of joy, to hold light. You know, that is the greatest thing that we can do at the moment, because that is going to happen smoothly, so that we can all come into the world that we all want to create. So if every single person takes responsibility for that and makes that their single priority, to really hold a vibration that is higher.
So how do you get there? How do you hold a high vibration?
Sure. Yes. Well, meditation is key. You know, you can't go past meditation, in my opinion. And to do meditation, there's preferably 2 times in the day that you do it. You know, 20 minutes morning, 20 minutes at night. The 2 meditations are quite different, because the morning one is quite clear and pure, because, you know, you're starting the day, the energy is clear and fresh, and it's often more powerful spiritually. But the end of the day meditation is one where you're clearing your energy field and you're clearing what's happened during the day. It's quite a different energy often when you do that second meditation. But if you can focus on just doing 2 20-minute meditations per day, that will have an incredible shift on the consciousness of the planet. And
that's a fantastic
to be able to
thing.
do meditation, you know, there's many different ways. Sorry, there's many different ways you can do it. So finding one that aligns with you, that you know, resonates with your soul, and, you know, chanting, for example, a word that has no meaning for 20 minutes, and just allowing yourself to focus on that word that has no meaning. But what happens is, you know, thoughts will come in, but between the spaces of those thoughts, there will be this higher consciousness, divine energy coming in. And in those spaces, the more that you meditate, the bigger those spaces become, and the more higher consciousness and universal energy you're bringing through. And you're a conduit and you're a channel for that energy on the planet. So you're effectively giving the gift of this energy to all the people around you by just being in your space and just connecting with you, or even just feeling your energy in the ethers. So that is a really powerful way that you can make an enormous difference. And all you need to do is to prioritize those times. And you will notice an enormous shift in yourself, how you feel, in how people relate to you, and even animals, how animals relate to you. So it's something that, again, cannot be underestimated.
And I think sometimes we can get stopped at the meditation because life gets busy. So one of the techniques is to have a routine time that you go and sit quietly. I actually think even sometimes meditation feels like the Himalayas, Mount Everest kind of thing. And sometimes just taking 15 minutes to sit quietly and to just give yourself some space where you're not playing with any devices, you're not doing anything actively, you're just being. That can be maybe a stepping stone to a meditation practice. And then I think if people want to go further and they haven't already got it in place, find a meditation that's guided, because that's easier and it's an easy entree, and it can be quite, that can, an uplifting guided meditation. And I know I've got a couple, I'm sure Medina's got a couple that we could share links with, but this ability to get ourselves to that practice and get the reward, because that's what I found, that's what makes people lean in. It's what made me lean in, is I started to feel the juicy stuff that came.
Well, I think having non-attachment to an outcome is really important, because sometimes you'll do a meditation, you'll get this incredible energy and amazing results, and you'll feel incredible. And other times you don't feel much, nothing happens.
Yeah, that's so true. Good reminder.
Open, being open to whatever presents is really helpful. And like you said, Michelle, that's a great thing to mention, that just to be in silence, doing nothing, having no stimulation. Our world is so overstimulated, and our bodies are so overstimulated that we're constantly running on adrenaline, and that's what creates all the stress. So if you sit in a quiet room, maybe a darkened room, or just with no distractions, that in itself is going to make a difference.
So I think that segues beautifully into a second piece of advice, which is for us to be very mindful of what information we allow in, what messages we allow in, what media we allow in. So I personally never watch the news, never watch current affairs. I have an awareness that it affects me too greatly. And I know that people who I speak to who are kind of wired like I am, do you find this too, Medina? There's no space for that in our lives. So we can get over infatuated and actually become a bit gluttonous about the stories and the drama, and that is outside our circle of influence. If we are aware that it has a negative draining effect on us, then actually disengaging from that. And I think when our household decided a couple of years ago to stop watching nightly news, just did the best thing for my energy. So being mindful of information diet, and I don't mean just the news, I mean what's coming through on your Facebook feed, what you're getting on your Twitter feed, all the different ways that we get exposed to the messages that are out there. And the messages are almost always negative, draining, and doom and gloom.
Yes. Your priority is to raise yourself first. If you are at a low level of energy and not feeling good, that's sort of the number one thing that you've got to focus on, is to raise yourself up so your health's good, your energy's good, you feel uplifted in your spirit. That's the number one focus, and it's not being selfish in any way, because that is
actually a gift to the world, isn't it? It's a gift.
That's the biggest gift now. So I think people get muddled with that, because I think, oh, I'm just being selfish if I focus on myself. But that is the goal. That's the number one thing. And then when you have that beautiful energy and that resonance, you can help so many more people. It's you're going to have a much greater influence in a positive way in the world. So totally agree with everything you said, Michelle. I long ago stopped watching anything on TV or even on the computer, on Netflix, any movies, anything that I watch that I take in is uplifting or joyful or some sort of experience of learning that's going to be a positive one for me. And that translates to every single thing in my life. Food that I eat, it translates to blessing my water when I drink my water. It translates to people that I connect with. On a personal level, the only people that I connect with are people that honor, respect, and uplift me as I do them. So when they make me feel good, I make them feel good. It's a win-win situation. If people are not impacting you in a positive way, you can still send them love from a distance. So you can still send them that lovely positive energy, but you don't hang with them when it's not something that's going to benefit you at this time. Particularly important at the minute with everything that's happening in the world. So every single thing that you do is to be mindful at the minute, to only take in energies that are going to really help you. And I know people say things like, oh, well, I'm in this job that, and I've got all these people in my workplace and they really drag me down. Well, at that point, I would be really addressing the necessity for having that job and not for finding something else that raises you to a level that is in alignment with your consciousness. Because if you're thinking they're not at my level, they're dragging me down, then maybe you've had a big shift, maybe you've grown, and so now you're ready for something else. And it's really overcoming the fear of doing something that is unfamiliar and stepping out of that status quo and finding something that is now in alignment with the energy that you're bringing to the world. So this is really so important. And many people at the moment on the planet are addressing their relationships and also their work, their jobs, and saying that those things do not feel authentic anymore, and that they have to find something now. Being the energy is 2017, it's a one energy, it's all about rebirth, it's all about a fresh start. So it's all about aligning with an energy now that is true to your soul and true to yourself. And the world that we live in on one level is merely an illusion. We're here to experience. So, what's happening around us is not necessarily the truth. It's an illusion. So, what we need to do is have a sense of non-attachment, but realizing that we're experiencing these things, but we want to have the best experiences that we can, and not be too attached, but recognizing that we're here to also, at this particular time on Earth, to also raise the vibration of the planet, or we wouldn't be here. The majority of people have chosen to be here right now because their souls recognize what an important time it is and what an important gift they can give to the world at this time. And really, too, it's an honor for us, each of us, to be here. We are blessed. Yes. Apparently, there's a long line of souls that want to come in at this time and help. Get in. So we're lucky to be here. We've got the ticket.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm glad you and I are here and everyone who's listening. So that's just reminded me, I think that conversation about making change and making choices is a really interesting one. And we've touched on this concept of boundaries, where we have, when we're in our centered, connected place, where we've got a sense of ourselves at peace and in our greatest strength, there is the space can then be created to really discover what it is that we should do, that we need to do. And I think at this time there is a lot of action that needs to be taken, but it needs to be taken from a connected, centered, clarity position, not a frenetic stress position. And I think that's a really important one, where we don't want to be in despair and taking action. We want to be feeling full of love and powerful from that sense of love and joy and taking action. And I think, you know, the ability to make change is really important. The ability to take action is really important. And so, you know, I know people, there's been so many public protests, you know, and people have felt that that's a great way to express. And that's a way of making something that's one of our concerns part of our influence as we take action. And I think, you know, being able to stay aware of how things influence us and keeping really centered and focused with our truth, our sense of peace, and then being able to take action, because that can be so inspirational. That's, you know, that's an incredible thing to be doing on this planet.
Yes, so true.
I had a fantastic chat to a woman yesterday who's an amazing feng shui coach and life purpose coach, and Nancy Nadami, and she was telling me how this is the year. So I know the numerology and the fact that we're in a beginning year, a birthing year. This is the year of the fire rooster. And she was talking to me about how the rooster uses its voice. It's about coming into voice. It's about waking people up. And I was thinking, oh, that is so true, because that's exactly what you and I and people who are interested in this stuff are doing. We're speaking up. We're having conversations like this. We're actually using our voice to wake up this energy that we need to have on this planet.
I mean, I don't know about you, but it's not naturally my choice to you know, spread myself all over social media and go, hello, it's me, you know, but it's just such an important time to get your message out to the world and to speak your truth and to make a difference, that I overcome those sorts of fears or those sorts of blockages.
Hesitations, yeah.
Yeah, forget about that. That doesn't matter. That's just the ego being, you know, reacting. But the point is, I'm here to tell people my truth and make a difference in the way that I can. So if I'm just encouraging others, you know, if you've got a strong message that you want to give the world, don't allow those sorts of blockages to stop you, because we need you out there. We need your voice. We need your truth. And when you think about it, I mean, there's 8 million women around the world that have just recently posted. That's a lot of energy out there. And it's also really important to note that it's the divine feminine energy that's really going to transform this planet. It's that higher vibrational consciousness of the divine feminine, which is all about love and you know, coming together in community. And I think that it's really important to acknowledge that energy in this transition. So really honoring and respecting females and women around you, and that divine feminine presence, and the divine feminine presence in males as well.
Yes.
You know, we love and honor males equally as we do females. Of course, they're both just as special, just as important, got unique energies. But the thing is that the divine feminine, there's been this imbalance in the planet in terms of patriarchy, and that divine feminine is now coming back into its own. It's coming back and being honored again. And so the sooner that can happen and that balance can be restored, the sooner that we can all have this world that we all want to create again.
Yes. And I think you've touched on another secret strategy that I think we should name, and that's community. And you talked before about being very discerning about people. I think having a circle of people, not just women, but men and women, but for me, it's almost entirely women, I must say, who know, hear me, understand me, witness me, are able to support me no matter what. We each need, if we haven't got that, we need to develop it. And if you can't get that from your current circle, reach out, find other communities, find people who you just feel like you're at home and you're with family. And that for me has been a massive change over many years, and my circle just keeps growing. So I think we've touched on quite a few strategies to be able to stay centered, to be able to be in the energy of love and joy despite what's happening around us, and know that from that space we can be powerful, we can take action, and we can create change. What's some last thoughts from you, Medina, as we wrap up our conversation, this delicious chat?
Well, I really love I love chatting to you, Michelle. It's fantastic. And I hope that there's people out there that resonate with this and that get some sort of message in a way that's beneficial for them. So what I would recommend this time to really connect with Gaia, to bless the planet, bless Mother Earth regularly, in the same way that, you know, we pray to a higher power, to God. We also need to bless and pray to Mother Earth, to the Gaia energy, because that's what's supporting us as well at the moment on this planet, and we need to connect with that energy in order to really raise the vibration. And so that to me is really important, you know, taking your shoes off and walking on the grass, and
being
spending
in nature,
time
standing under trees, isn't it? Being in nature and standing under a tree and just admiring the heck out of it and feeling the energy and the beauty of it.
I know. So all that sort of thing, you know, oxygenate yourself really well, breathe deeply. You know, we all tend to breathe way too shallowly. It's so important to oxygenate your system, to drink plenty of water, to bless your water when you drink it. You know, we don't drink enough water. We're often very dehydrated. So these are basic, you know, physiological things that we need to do, but also to just, you know, enjoy the sun and music, you know, things that lift us in terms of the arts, you know, creative things like you touched on before, painting, yes, drawing, you know, writing, getting a pen and just expressing your truth on paper. I mean, that can be so cathartic. It's such a fantastic feeling when you've done that. And painting, there's things that we do as a child that we forget to do as an adult, and we should be bringing them back in, I feel, because often these things are spontaneous things that we'll do as a child because they're joyful and they make us happy. So bring them back in and prioritize them into your life. You know, put your favorite music on and dance, spin like a child does, clockwise. You know, that you cannot feel unhappy and be spinning at the same time. That's why kids spontaneously do it. There's so many wonderful things that you can do. You just got to remember to do them.
Yes, and gratitude for what we have in our life.
Thoughts,
I was going to say, and gratitude, but be mindful of the gratitude. What an incredibly, you know, like you and I live in the beautiful, safe country of Australia, and we are so blessed by the environment, the stability, and I think just finding all sorts of little and big things constantly in our day. I call it the other G spot. So gratitude. So it's kind of, you know, it really is a point of great pleasure to be in gratitude.
I think that the vibration of gratitude is actually higher than love. So love is a certain level of vibration, but gratitude is even above that. So if you can get yourself to that vibration of gratitude, what a great energy you're putting out into the world, as well as to yourself. So yeah, fantastic point.
Absolutely. So Medina, my love to you for joining me for this chat so that we could have, I guess, a capacity to share our thoughts around this very important challenge that we're facing at this time with all the strife and stress and unrest and concern. Know that you and I and everyone who listens, we are all powerful and we can make a change. We can basically look after ourselves and then look after others as a result.
Absolutely. And remember that you are the co-creator of your world and your life. So whatever intention that you have to create is what you will create. So if you just get real clarity on what you're bringing to the world and what you want to do, and then you put that out there, then it will manifest. So you are the one that has all the power.
Yes. Okay, so sending everyone who's listening lots of love for their journey and where they're at.
Yes, love and light, everyone.
Love and light. Thank you again, Medina. Bye for now.
Thank you, Michelle. Wonderful to chat. Bye. Bye.